Hello. Sorry about starting a little bit late today. I had a few different technical issues. Let me know if my audio is coming in clear, if you are actually here listening. We do have a fairly exciting show. We have quite a bit of news that has built up. I kind of waited a little bit because the camera news has been a bit slow, so I was hoping for a big story, and we do have a couple of big stories now. We're going to go over the Canon EOS R8 leak and what it could possibly be and what it can mean. We're also going to go over the major leak coming from Panasonic and the the S5 Mark II. And then we'll pick up some other stories along the way. We'll do hopefully an Ask Me Anything. You can just jump into the chat and talk as much as you would like. I really appreciate it and love it when we get a lot of different interactions. So hopefully the chat will be building up. Let's see. Let's go ahead and go to the chat while we hopefully wait for more people to join us before we start going into the main stories. Isotech Images says it is clear. Great, great. Yeah, last week, this is the first time, or last week was the first time that I used this mic. And it was a bit of an issue because I was hearing a lot of the pops and the filters and stuff like that. So it was a bit of an issue, but hopefully it has been cleared up at this point. So Isotech, what are you into tonight? I know some people are into some college football, and so it may be a slower night. I usually do it on Saturday nights, but then we were having professional NFL football, so I'm not sure if that's a good night either. So we're just trying to make it happen. Don't know how long I'm going to go. Unfortunately, my 1-year-old or 1.5-year-old at this point does have COVID. He's doing fairly good. It doesn't seem like he's going to have any issues as far as it goes. I don't expect him or anticipate him to have any issues, but he has kind of kept us up a little bit, and I'm starting to feel a little something, but hopefully it won't go into anything more. All right, let me go ahead. I'm going to check my audio over here myself. Monitor a few things. If you are here and you haven't hit the like button yet, go ahead and hit that like button. We'll get this out to some more people, and that way we'll have a more engaging conversation as things go along. All right. So do we want to go ahead and jump in? What I'm going to do first, I'm going to go over some of the, I wouldn't say bigger stories. Sometimes I get very lucky and I'll start refreshing like Fuji rumors, Nikon rumors, Canon rumors, Sony Alpha rumors, and we'll just get like a new rumor that hasn't happened yet. And so that is what we'll be able to do as far as that goes. We can do that first, and then I'll go over to some of the main topics. Hopefully more people will start to move in here. Isotech says, I think he's saying here down under, just doing the New Year's Eve firework. Mic is very clear. Appreciate it. Awesome. Yeah, I'm very excited. This mic is one of those Shure mics, but it's not like the super expensive one. I mean, it's just so expensive to get the one with cloud lifter, but I'm like, let's hope that this is like 90% the same. So far I've been very impressed with this mic for doing this and also some voiceovers. But yeah, fireworks sounds really fun. So yeah, you're about 14 hours ahead of me, I think, if I'm not mistaken. It could be 15 hours. So that's I guess it depends on where you are in Australia, because that is a very big continent. So, or country, continent, whatever you want to say, a little bit of both. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. We're going to be doing some fireworks tomorrow, assuming that everybody is, I guess, doing a little bit better as far as being sick goes, or let's just say nobody's getting any worse. We'll do some fireworks, we'll have some food, and we will have some fun. Let me go ahead. I'm going to jump in and start doing a few of, I guess, the possible lottery. What's up, Jason? Jason's in the house. I haven't seen you here in a while, buddy. I think I haven't been extremely regular. Like, I mean, I've done it about once a week every time, but I think some of the days have probably been conflicting with you, man. How are you having? Are you enjoying your New Year's? Jason says, "Merry Xmas, my friend." Yeah, we did just have some Christmas. It was funny on Christmas Eve. My brother-in-law was over. We were doing some gifts situations, and that's when he like got the text that he had COVID. He had done a rapid test, but then his long test didn't come in, and so he was like helping my son open gifts right when that happened. So I was like, "Oh, great, you're passing that along for Christmas." And sure enough, my son has it. But so far, nothing too severe, and hopefully it will not progress. But definitely been keeping me up at night. So sorry if my voice or my energy's down. We'll get it flowing as the camera news starts flowing in. I get more and more excited. Good to see you, Jason. I hope you had a good good Christmas yourself, and yeah, man, enjoying the New Year's. I was just Isotech was just saying he's from Australia as well. He was talking about that you're preparing for some New Year's and New Year's Eve fireworks. So yeah, drop in the comments. Let me know what you're in for. So yeah, I'm going to go over some of the newer topics, and let's just right now kind of still hope for some people to flood in. And as we're doing so, you can be building up the chat, and we'll just start refreshing some stuff, and then we'll go over to the main topics of the day, which is about the Panasonic S5II and S5II X. A lot of leaks about them. We have images, we have like specs galore. And then we also have the big story about the EOS R8. So I'll give my opinions, or at least speculations about what that could mean. Let's go to it. Okay, so let's go ahead and refresh here on Fuji rumors. Start there. Sometimes we get lucky. Right now, let's just see. We'll go down. Okay, Fujifilm 2003 or 2023. 2003. Oh gosh, been young. Can it beat? Can it beat the amazing 2022? A look at what's coming for sure, and we hope for. Okay, so yeah, so let's look at Fujifilm was most busy brand of all in 2022. They have released 3 high-end cameras, 4 XF lenses, and 1 GF lens, plus some accessories such as the legendary cooling fan and the tripod grip. Now the question is, can it compete? So let me go ahead and click here. Let's see what they're saying they're going to have. They have some lenses. I'm not sure if anybody's a Fuji fan. I am. I don't really shoot Fuji much anymore, but that was my first interchangeable lens camera that was mine. So it definitely has a soft spot. They're saying has launched between 4 and 7 lenses. So right here they're saying that it will announce possibly 4 new ones. They have the 110 millimeter 5.6 tilt shift. So this right here, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, is the GF, is that gonna, I think the XF is their APS-C lineup. Is the GF, I think that's their mount for their medium format cameras. So if this medium format, I would say this is okay being at 5.6 just because you have that extra light. And you already have extra depth of field with the medium format. But if this is 5.6 on APS-C, that's like, I don't know, what, F11 or something crazy. So I'm not very excited about that. Right here, they say a 55 1.7. That is fairly impressive, especially if this is the medium format lenses. Fuji's priority seems to be releasing more GF lenses. The X mount, yeah, is going to be their APS-C mount. An 8mm 3.5. That's going to be a little good vlogger lens, but I think that'll be, what is it, a 5.6? I forget exactly the exact conversion, but it definitely won't be 3.5 equivalent, or I don't believe so, at least. I'm not sure how that works out with the low light. All right, let's see what the cameras are. So 7 cameras seems to be unrealistic number, as you can exclude entry level. The average is about 3 to 4. So for the X series, you guys are hungry for range finder style cameras, preferably with 40 megapixels. So they're basically just saying, is it possible to get that new sensor that was in the XH2 and also the XT5 and bring that to like a rangefinder camera. I think that's possible coming from Fujifilm. I'm more interested to see what they keep doing with medium format. If they can push it a lot faster and even add more video functions, that would be really cool. And I think that they could, I don't know, start, I wouldn't say competing with full frame. I mean, obviously medium format has its own look and it's super cool in its own right, but I would like to see it have just a little bit more features towards video. So I would like to see that. You guys desire more speed rather than more megapixels. Exactly. So yeah, that they could drop the megapixels down and get us some speed. That'd be great. All right, let's jump over here to Nikon rumors and see if we get lucky. Refresh here. All right, nothing. Just this lens. Nothing big there that I can tell. Topaz. Nope. Continues to deny the exit from the DSLR market. That's rich. Nothing here that I'm seeing big. All right, let's go ahead and skip ahead. Sony offer rumors. Software deals. World Cup. At the World Cup, photographers use mostly Canon and Nikon cameras. That's interesting because there was a top 10, and we can kind of go over that just a bit. But recently there was a top 10 from one of the Japanese retailers there, and like Sony is dominating the top 10. There was only one Canon, which was the EOS R6 Mark II. There are like 7 out of the top 10 was Sony. I believe number 1 with the A7 IV, and number 3 was the A7 IV with the kit lens. So, I mean, it's crazy how much they're selling. I do wonder like what the new adoption rate is. These are probably very veteran photographers, and let's just be real, Sony hasn't necessarily been it hasn't been in the game near as long. And a lot of people who are used to their system aren't going to change their system, and that makes sense. If you're ingrained in a system, you have a lot of good glass. I mean, these camera companies are so close at this point that unless you're just like jumping in, I don't know. I'm not saying it's not worth ever switching or, doing a dual system thing, but I can see long-term professionals still being pretty stuck to Nikon and Canon. But yeah. Sony has made some inroads. I'm not seeing anything super big from Sony alpha rumors. This is a slow time for some news, but we did get some pretty impressive stuff. At least 2 impressive stuff. All right, let's go ahead and go to Canon rumors and see if we have. This is going to be the R8. That's going to be one of the big stories that we go over. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything really new. We'll just go back over this here in a second. But let's go back to the chat, and we will start that one fresh. What's up? So we have 6 people watching live, which is good. It means that Friday is maybe a bigger and better day for more people to join us live. If you're here live and you can, then jump in the chat and we'll have a conversation. If not, that's completely cool too. Hit that like button though, and we'll get this out to more people. It really helps out the channel, and also it helps out the live stream. Chad Cryer says, thanks Moving Matt and Jason Morris for the good info in 2022. Much appreciated. Happy New Year. So yeah, man, I appreciate you coming here. I'm glad you're liking the stuff and digging the stuff. I kind of feel like this is a weird angle, to be honest, but I'm glad that you're like I said, enjoying everything. I really appreciate you showing up, and I'm going to try to be doing more live stream type content and just breaking things up as the news comes in. I think as news like starts flooding in at the beginning of the year, like it usually does, I'll be able to maybe even do 2 live streams a week, and that will be really fun. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. And Jason, of course, Jason is amazing at what he does. He's the reason I don't do tutorials. He's one of the reasons I don't do tutorials and stuff like that, because there's just people know much more about that type of stuff than I do. So anyways, I enjoy watching, and I enjoy cameras, and I love to learn from people like Jason, but I'm not going to act like I can teach you guys. A lot of y'all are teaching me. So let's just say with that. Ordinary Filmmaker says, I'm still alive. So I think from what I can gather, don't you have COVID? I believe you had the C words. Am I allowed to say COVID nowadays? I think I can still. YouTube is kind of weird on that. But we're just talking about the reality of life at this point. I was just saying, I'm not sure if you were on, my 20-month-old has COVID as well. My brother-in-law gave it to him at Christmas Eve. So what a gift. But he's doing pretty good so far. He had like a pretty high fever one night, but I think that was probably the peak of it. So far, it's just that lingering cough. I'm feeling a little something, so yeah, hopefully it won't turn into much. IG Shooter says, love you, bro. Well, I appreciate it. I love that you're here. I'm glad that you're enjoying the content. I don't feel like I've seen you much on the live streams, so I appreciate that you're jumping in on the live. Ordinary Filmmaker says, you can say it, but the video can get demonetized. Well, I'll just have to clip out. I'm going to clip a lot of these out anyways, and I forget to demonetize this thing sometimes on the live stream. I actually purposely didn't monetize the live streams at first. Like, I'll go back on the replay and sometimes monetize it on that. But I do it just because I don't want to be censored too much on what I say. Like, I'm not going to try to like drop any, F-bombs or anything, but I want to be free to have a conversation and not feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so worried about that. And if people want to chat and things like that, I want it to be, adult, but not, exclusive, or no, I don't think that's the right word. But anyways, all right, let's go ahead and go to the next big story. And I know, Simon, you can give some inputs here. I think Canon Rumors is actually wrong about this one. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't think they're wrong completely, but I think they're wrong about a certain part of it. So let me go ahead and do like a little intro because I clip these things out. So we have some pretty big news coming out of Canon Rumors. If somebody's been looking forward to a follow-up to the Canon EOS R, well, you may be in luck. Coming up at CP Plus, this is coming to us via Canon Rumors, and I'm pretty excited, so let's get into it. All right, so Canon Rumors says the Canon EOS R8 will be announced at CP Plus in February. So that's right around the corner. We should be hearing quite a bit of rumors. If Canon likes to start dropping a lot of different stuff, and I mean, supposedly it's not Canon, but I think Canon does it on purpose. They start leaking stuff to get the speculation train. They don't like to shadow drop like Sony does. And honestly, I appreciate it, of course, by doing the rumors, but I think it's just a smart move to kind of keep the narrative around. But yeah. It says one of Canon's next camera bodies will be announced ahead of CP Plus in February. The new camera will be the Canon EOS R8, and it will obviously sit between the EOS R7 and the R10. We have been told a couple times that the EOS R8 will take a bit of a different form factor and will have a new kind of flippy screen. We also believe that the EOS R8 will use the same 24.2 megapixel sensor that is used in the R10. There will be a lot more announced ahead of CP Plus, and we're actively trying to confirm all that we can expect from Canon. We think that this year's CP Plus will be a big one for a lot of the manufacturers. So that's really exciting news here coming out of CP Plus. I do disagree one thing. Well, let's first go over this flippy screen. I would be interested to see if they're somewhat copying Sony here. I at least hope that they're copying Sony in some form or fashion, who also copied Panasonic and, in my mind, improved their version of the flippy screen. I would love to see like the tilt out flip screen. Been talking about it for years. It's great. I think it's awesome. I'm glad Sony finally did it. I hope Canon follows suit here. One thing I do disagree with, I really believe this is going to be a full-frame camera, personally. I think this will be a follow-up to the EOS R. I do not think it's going to be an APS-C sensor. I could be wrong, but I really do not know how much you can fit in between the R10 and the R7. Like, where's all the cripple hammers going to be? If you're going to be trying to fit in a camera in between that. It just doesn't exactly make sense to me. I suspect, or at least I personally believe, it's going to be, at least would it be a sort of a successor to the EOS R. I know they're not actually going to name it the R Mark II, but I think it will take the place of that. It'd be cool because it'll be a full frame sensor, maybe somewhere around 1800. Especially how good they've made the R6 Mark II. I think you could, drop another full frame camera in there and it would make a lot of sense. And the R8, it just, that's, if you're going to have another full frame camera, which I think that they should, I think the R8 will be an EOS R follow up. And if they have an R9, that will be like the ERP follow up if they decide to go that low with the mirror or full frame. And I think it would be a great idea. I think that's a market that is kind of underutilized, or I guess underserved. And Nikon right now is doing some stuff. Canon, of course, did in the past, but Sony really isn't playing with full frame at a lower end, and I think that they should. They're missing out on quite a bit, especially because now they're saying that the starting price is at $2,500. Like with the R6 Mark II and now the A7 IV. So I think a $1,800 or $1,900 full frame camera could be great. It won't be as fast as the R7, which will, be more made for, your sports photographers as well as your, I'm trying to think of the right word. COVID. I'm a COVID brain. Your sports photographers and your wildlife photographers. So I don't suspect it will be as good in that department. It won't be as fast. I could see the video features being somewhere similar to the EOS R7. Possibly, of course, you're not going to want to go too much and step on the toes of the R6 Mark II. But I think there's some place to have it down there. So yeah, I'm excited to see what this is to have to offer. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're right. They have more sources than I do, of course, and I'm fairly speculating. But it sounds like they're speculating as well. But drop in the comment section below and let me know, are you excited about a new EOS R camera? Are you thinking that this isn't going to be a follow-up to that? It's going to be something completely new? Or rather doesn't even matter about the naming convention. It's just not going to be that. It's going to be an APS-C camera. You agree with Sony Alpha or Canon rumors? Do you agree with me? Let me know all that in the comment section below. All right. Let's get back to the live. I like the live. I like doing live and then like using this because it's fun. I think it's fun. Isotech Images says, I agree. I just cannot see the room between R7 and R10 for APS-C camera. Yeah, I personally just do not see it because what are you going to take out or add that's not going to step on the toes of either one of those? And I think you could kind of get away with it with having a R6. I think there's room underneath the R6 for a full frame camera. Ordinary Filmmaker says $979 to $1499, so maybe in the middle at the range, $1299. R50, R100, R1000 supposed to be under the R10, and another between the R7 and the R10. That's crowded. Yeah, I agree, and you're going to go below the R10. That makes sense because you can drop the EVF or you can make it very entry level like you had the M50 Mark II. Kind of have it like Sony's, what is it called? They have so many different acronyms now. The EV or ZV-E10, have something around that. That makes a lot of sense to me, but having another APS-C camera in there, I think it's full frame. Ordinary Filmmaker, Simon, can I just say that? Or Tom, as we like to jokingly call each other. Agreed, full frame between the RP and R6 Mark II makes sense, as well as a replacement for the RP. I think the rumors have some false information in them. Yeah, I feel like Canon rumors, and Isotech agrees, as Simon says. Simon says, sorry, I'm like a child. Simon says, I'm sure you got that like growing up completely. You hear that all the time, Simon. Sorry about that. Anyways, yeah, I think there is some false information there. And it to be fair, I do feel like they were being they said, we also believe. They weren't really, I guess that's kind of their opinion from what I see. I don't necessarily think I don't think that they were being too hardline, so I wouldn't give them a ding. They're not as egregious as Sony Alpha Rumors can be sometimes with their reporting. And to be fair about Sony Alpha Rumors too, I think he's trying his best, and Sony is pretty hard to get any information out of, so that's one thing. I also, I'm questioning the R5 Mark II. Me and Simon actually did a live stream together a few weeks ago, or right before the R6 Mark II came out, so about a month back. And I was like on the train telling him, no, the R5 Mark II should be coming really shortly, and it'll either be getting announced at the R6 Mark II or very shortly after. And you told me I was crazy, and I kind of feel validated with some of the rumors, but I do not think that the specs are going to be quite what they're saying. But we'll see. I do think it's interesting. Isotech says, as Simon says, ordinary filmmaker Simon says, I already pre-ordered the R5 Mark II with a winky smiley face. That's awesome. Yeah, so Simon, really smartly, he goes to a local camera store in Canada, and he is able to basically say, hey, listen, I know this camera is coming in the future. Let me go ahead and put like a deposit down on it. A lot of times you can get your deposit back at some of these places, or you could, a pre-order deposit, or you can put it towards something else that you already want. If you decide the rumors come out or it's just not what you're looking for, then you can do that. So it makes sense if you are in the market and you're looking at that R5 Mark II, or you're looking at the R5 in general, and you're saying, well, I'm going to wait for an upgrade and see if this thing is worth it, then I absolutely recommend doing what Ordinary Filmmaker's doing. Go try to find like a local camera shop that you can really trust, and go ahead and try to pre-order it, because it makes sense. They're going to sell out instantly. They're going to be on probably back order for 3, 4, 5 months. I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case, because the R5 is just an amazing camera. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's unfortunate. I'm pretty still excited about it, but I got the R5C very recently. Didn't think it was going to be coming, and yeah, then that happens. Wait Tech says, wow, Simon, you're going to have the R1 and R5 Mark II in pre-order now. Yeah, I think it, well, Simon, first off, he's a big shot here. No, he really is. His channel's growing. It's nuts. But I was about to say what exactly he says. He said, I'm going to keep one. I said, keep one of each for me. So yeah, that makes sense that you're doing that. I'm not sure if are you going to actually keep both, you think? I guess it probably depends on, where your channel's at, as well as what you get out of each camera. But I think, are you going to keep both, or are you going to kind of maybe choose between the two? Isotech says, it's pretty safe move, Simon, as will be cracker, as will be a cracker for sure. I'm not sure if I'm reading that right, or if I'm not sure if maybe I'm just not getting it as far. Maybe I just hadn't heard that lingo. I know you're from Australia, so you just might have a few different words that I don't use on a regular basis. But I'm pretty sure what that means, using context clues, is that it's going to be selling really well. And I completely agree with that. Hey, if you're here and you're watching and you're enjoying the content, hit that like button. It's get it out to even more people. We can enjoy the conversations even more thoroughly. I'm enjoying it so far. Aussie slang, great camera. Okay, so yeah, it's going to be a great camera for sure. I do question the idea that it will be that high on the 8K. Or rather, the biggest question that I have is that 63 megapixel sensor. I don't think that that's real, or the 61, or whatever they're calling it, 61 and then 63 effective, or 63 then 61 would be effective range, because that's like the same sensor at megapixels as the Sony R5. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't think they're going to be boosting it that much. If anything, I could see the R1 being in 60s, but that seems very, I don't know. That doesn't seem like it's going to happen to me, especially you're going to be downsampling from that rate. That's quite of an improvement. And my biggest question is, it's not that I don't think that it's possible. If you have dual digit X processors, that's great. But the battery life is the big issue with the R5C. And granted, the R5C is it's using the operating system that it probably shouldn't be using with their cinema line operating system. My theory is with the R5C is that we do know that they delayed some of their newer cinema cameras that were supposed to be coming out. They've personally leaked an 8K cinema camera. I suspect that's going to be coming out probably CP Plus around that time too. And I think what the plan was originally is there's going to be a new operating system or a new version of the cinema operating system, and that was going to be coming to the R5C and maybe not be quite as power hungry on it. So that was going to be an issue. So, because just fiddling with menus, I mean, it dies instantly. It kind of sucks on that level. But the biggest thing is with that small battery, you're not able to push 8K 60. They can't even let their lens function. So I don't know. I don't understand unless they're going to have an all new battery, or they're going to I hope they wouldn't change the form factor so much that your old batteries won't work. So I don't understand the physics behind it. Maybe they have a new version of that same size battery and they're just an improvement there. But as it sits, I don't understand how that would be possible if it's not possible in the R5C. So I don't understand that part of it. Okay, Ordinary Filmmaker, maybe you're informing me a little bit more on what happened here. So Ordinary Filmmaker says, I will keep 2 cameras, one R5 for the channel, the original, then depending on the R1, how the R1 is, I might either keep the R1 or the R5 Mark II and sell the other. Depends on feedback from viewers. Yeah, so I mean that makes complete sense. That's what I would go with. That's what I would do. And yeah, that sounds like a good problem to have. We'll just say that, Simon. The big issue is, will you really do that, or will you be too tempted and actually hold on to both and sell your old R5? Because that could easily be a thing too. Ordinary Filmmaker says 61 megapixel sensor seems very soft. Yeah, so I don't 100% agree with that. I think they might be getting some wires crossed, like it's partially the R1, because that would make sense. The R1 has that bigger battery. It could support something like that. So I can see this maybe being partially the R1 specs coming out, mixed in with the R5C or R5 Mark II. Because I don't think there's too much you really got to fix on the R5 Mark II. You could add some extra codecs, would be great. I'm not saying they won't bump it up some, and I definitely think the photography specs will be faster. I don't know. I know a lot of people didn't believe the R5 specs when they were being announced. Granted, when they first were being announced and in practice, it didn't work out as expected, but after all the firmwares, it has. So I don't know. Just seeing what they did with the R6 Mark II, I don't see the need for them to push that far with the R5 Mark II. Like, there's a lot that they can do. Fix the wobble. I think that overall fixing that would be great for like vloggers and things like that. There's a few things you can fix, but overall, I mean, obviously full-size HDMI port, that would be a big one. But I just do not see the need for them to push it that far. Maybe they will, but I just, like I said, I don't see the need for them to do that in the marketplace right now. And I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but we will see. Ordinary Filmmaker, what's wrong with my? Okay, here we go. Ordinary Filmmaker says dual CF Express cards. Yeah, that's another interesting one. I think that they could fit it in. As far as that goes, I think they really have room for it, even as the body sits. It'd be awesome if it's really dual CF Express cards. That's really cool. I think that that one doesn't seem unrealistic to me, especially how cheap CF Express cards have gotten over the last few years. And if they're really doing that crazy 8K, I think, what was it, 8K downsampled from 9K up to 60 or something? I don't know. It was silly. And then 4K 120 all the way, everything oversampled, which is, again, nuts. The R5C does 4K 60 oversampled from 8K. So that's one thing. Agree, the R5 does not need that. Megapixels 45 to 50 is ample. Yeah, I agree. The info, Ordinary Filmmaker said the info is CR2. CR2, the R5 was way above any of us thought was possible. So I think it is plausible, but just feels off somehow. That's exactly my feeling. And I know you're continuing your thought, so I'll let you continue. I'll read it, but that's exactly how I feel. It's not that I don't think it is possible, or but at the same time, or I just feel that there's some mix-ups here because I don't know where they would go with the R1 if it is literally this amazing. Where are they going to put the R1? And then I don't think that they need to do that. I really don't. And yeah. Ordinary Filmmaker says rumors don't come directly from the source, but pass through many hands, and sometimes the info gets changed even if the source is reliable. That's true, and we've seen that over and over again. Ordinary Filmmaker says, but while a CR2, we have not received validation on other R5 Mark II in a month. That's another thing. Is usually when that tree, is it Craig? Craig, I believe. Or Greg, I think it's Craig. He usually says, or when he did your interview, I know he basically says that when you get an R5 rumor, or you get, usually you throw out a rumor, you get some sources in, it maybe within a week you expect to get some validation or some more information just because other people will come forward. So yeah, I don't understand that part of it. So we'll see. I don't doubt that it will be getting released this year, or rather 2023, but I kind of doubt the specs right now. Is it WeTech? Because I was calling you Wait Tech, but there's no two T's there. I might be saying your name wrong. I apologize. He says maybe the R5II gets 10-bit 422 without using C-Log. Yeah, that's another odd thing from Canon. I don't know why they do that. I do know that the R5C, you can do what is called, it's like a high dynamic range codec that uses the 10-bit. And it's pretty interesting. I forget what it's called, but it's kind of like having Cinetone, essentially S-Cinetone on the Sony camera. It's kind of like a high dynamic range version, and I believe the R6 Mark II just got the same thing. So yeah, it makes complete sense that they'll at least give you that. It'd be cool to see C-Log 2, which they haven't even added that to the R5C, so maybe not. Maybe they're just keeping that with the cinema cameras. But yeah, that would be cool. Maybe that would be a big upgrade for some people. They would like C-Log 2 in it. Or rather, I think the RAW has C-Log 2 profile, but maybe without having to do RAW. That would be cool. Yeah. ProRes, maybe? I know Ordinary Filmmaker would freak out if it's ProRes. If you're here and you're watching, jump into the chat. I really appreciate it. If you're just able to listen, I appreciate you just listening and enjoying the show. But if you can, just hit that like button. It gets it out to more people. We have, I feel like, some pretty fun conversation going on. I love talking cameras. This is good. I'm going to go probably way longer than I expected just because I enjoy the conversation. Let's go ahead and while the chat hopefully keeps filling up, I will go over to the next main topic here. And it's going to be about the new Panasonic specs here. So we'll be interested to see. There's some. Oh, and there's a new lens. So this literally just happened. Okay, but we'll go ahead. I'm going to do, again, the intro just so I can block it out. And I think people will get the idea. So I think you're getting the idea of how this is working now. So we have some big news coming from Mirrorless Rumors. It's actually been circulating quite a bit. It's the new Panasonic S5II, and they finally did something that we've been waiting for forever, and that is they're adding phase detect autofocus, which is great. But let me go ahead and jump into all these different specs, as well as they actually did a leak of a lot of photos. And so this thing is supposed to be coming in hot. I believe it's January 4th. Let's go over it. So it says here it is from Mirrorless Rumors. He said fully leaked S5II and S5IIX. Didn't mention that before, but that's good. And a 14 to 28 specs. So that's really cool. A 14 to 28 millimeter lens. I really like that super wide. I'm guessing it could be at f4. That's what I would believe. We also know that the S5IIX has what the S5II doesn't: Apple ProRes, IP streaming, and IP streaming functions. So I do wonder if these are going to be very similar cameras and the other one's basically like just an added firmware. That's what it kind of seems like to me. But we'll see if there's extra differentiation. But here's the overlay. This is going to be a 24.2 megapixel CMOS sensor. So this is CMOS. If I'm not mistaken, usually they get their sensors from Sony as well. I could be mistaken. Maybe they do their own, but I know a lot of people. I know Nikon uses Sony sensors, and Fujifilm. So maybe Panasonic doesn't. Maybe I'm wrong. 24. It's not as much as a lot of people would probably expect, but I think it's good enough. Especially it's going to be doing 6K. I really feel like 6K is starting to come into its own. I know 8K was, all what Canon was pushing, and then Sony did with the A1 and Z9. But it seems like 6K is kind of going to be the new mid-range, mid-tier camera is going to be like a 6K. So instead of being 4K 30, it seems like that 24 megapixel range will be like the 6K cameras, which was already happening with the A7 III even then, because they had the A7 III from Sony, it over sampled from 6K down to 4K. So just to add it straight up is great. It says it has a AR coat. I looked that up. I believe that I think that is, some people think it's a good thing. Some people think it's not so good of a thing. So I will be interested to hear more about that and see how it actually affects the image. Sensor shift type dust removal unit. So I don't know what that is. It'll probably just have that shield that comes down. It'd be interesting to see if they have some new cleaning version of that. That'd be cool. It says it'll be 14 plus stops with Vlog. So, I mean, that's good. Usually what they advertise is, it says 14 plus, so I wouldn't suspect it will be anything much above 14 at all. If it will even hit that in a practical range, you might be able to get 14 stops at like the extremes, but you're probably only going to, within any kind of clean look, you're probably going to be looking at like 12 and a half stops, which, it's still plenty, because you got to be considering, if you're lighting something properly and you're actually looking at a subject, then 12 stops is plenty. You're looking, if you're not, you're going to definitely lose some like highlight detail and some color detail at the top extremes, but you're going to be using that in an extreme situation usually, where you're not necessarily going to be lighting just for a subject. Because if you're lighting for the subject, you're going to blow out something, probably, if you're outside. If you can't control the light source, you're going to do that. So 14 makes sense if you're actually looking at somebody, or rather 12 is fine if you're, actually have a subject. And 14 plus, that's super cool if you're outside. You want some, I guess, landscape and things like that. You want to actually have that extra dynamic range. It sounds good. It's not amazing, but it sounds good. 5-axis 5-step in-body image stabilization. Says dual IS, so meaning with the lens, it will be 6.5 step image stabilization. Panasonic has really been known for their image stabilization, especially in like the Panasonic GH6 and GH5. I do wonder, I don't really know as much if their full frames are on that level, but if it's on a pretty high level, or if it competes with the actual like GH6, that will be amazing. And I believe that the GH6, I don't think it markets anything past 6.5 steps of image stabilization. Sometimes that's just some marketing numbers. I know that there's a technical side to it, but overall, I mean, just because it has amount of steps is not going to be necessarily saying it's going to be better or worse. So to me, it'll probably be amazing at 6.5. I suspect that. It's a JPEG RAW MOV MP4. So that's kind of, I don't think, yeah. So JPEG, they're talking about photos here. RAW, they kind of just put that in. They kind of looped it all together. H264, H265. Okay, these are the big video specs here. 6K 30 at 200. Man, my brain is not working together. Working properly. But basically, that's the amount of bit rate that's coming through there. The amount of megabits per second. Jeez. Or is it megabyte? I think it's megabits per second. So anyways, that's not super high. I know that Canon is quite a bit higher than that, especially on 6K 30. But I mean, it's good enough. Long GOP. So yeah, that makes sense. This isn't going to be all eye. So long GOP makes sense at 200 megabytes per second. It's plenty for long GOP. It's 4.2.0 10-bit. And usually this is a fairly mid-range camera. So yeah. It says C4K 60p with 422 10-bit. Is that supposed to be cropped 4K? I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, maybe you can drop in the comment section below. Let me know if that's what that's supposed to be. I would be kind of surprised if it's cropped, but maybe at this level, and they're not wanting to step on what was probably going to come like the S1 or something like that. They're not going to really want to maybe step on that. SH1 or I just would really like to see that come out as well. Like that camera was way above its time period, and I would love to see it with hopefully their new autofocusing system. It says 3.64 million dots OLED viewfinder. Nothing amazing, but not bad. A free angle monitor, 3-inch, 1.84 million dots. Free angle, so I know that Panasonic already kind of does their flip angle thing, but it'll be kind of interesting. Is it going to be a flip screen or free angle? I think they mean that it's that flip tilt out and flip over. I would like to see if they add some extra mobility to it, kind of like Sony has done with the A7R5. Image plane phase detect autofocus / contrast autofocus. And then they also says DFD technology. So I believe that is kind of like a LiDAR type situation. I'm not exactly sure, or depth from defocus technology. Maybe that's what it means. Now, phase detect autofocus, we've been waiting forever because their contrast, and I mean that contrast autofocus has been awful. I don't know why they've kept it so long. I think Panasonic could have been, I think they'd be playing in the game with Canon and Sony and Nikon if they would have adopted phase detect like 4 years ago, because they were ahead of the game in pretty much every way except for that. And that was a big hurdle for them to get mass appeal. I know some people do not care about autofocus, but the majority of people at this point, or at least the masses, really want good autofocus, including myself. I like autofocus. Now, for them to say phase detection and contrast, Sony does the same thing. I don't know if it works in conjunction with video and photo at the same time. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's just normal. I know Sony has both, and so I think that that's going to be completely fine. We'll see what happens with it, but I think it's going to get rid of that pulsing finally, hopefully. AF will be -6 EV to -8 EV. So yeah, or it should be plus on that, I believe. But anyway, that's great. It should be able to autofocus fairly dark. So yeah. ISO range is from 100 to 51,200, extended up to 204. Yeah, no one cares. Yeah, I mean, great. 50 to 204. I don't think anybody's going to shoot this at 204,000. ISO. Dual native. Okay, that's good. This is cool. Normal ISO will be 100 to 640. Two really good ranges right there. So now on Vlog, this is cool. 640 to and 4000 will be the two dual native ISOs. Sounds good to me. With the Sony A7S III, which is what my primary camera is as of right now, the dual native ISO is 640 and then 12,800. I like it because it's such a good low sensor, or such a really good, I guess, low light camera. But for most cases, I think you're better off somewhere around 4,000 having the next native ISO, because most people aren't shooting in the dark, especially if you're a 24 megapixel sensor. You probably don't want to do that. HLG will be 400 to 2500. All right, let's jump over to the mechanical shutter will be 1 over 8,000. So yeah, that's nothing spectacular, but pretty standard stuff here. Continuous shooting speed. Now here's some good stuff. Maximum 9 frames per second, and then electronic is 30 frames. 30 frames per second. I don't know what that SH is standing for. I'm gonna have to maybe research this a little bit more. But yeah, so I mean, 30 frames per second sounds really good. 9 frames, it could be better at this date and time. But yeah, 30 frames would be plenty, especially for this camera. I'm going to go down here and see if they have the price leaked here, because that would really help. Yeah, I'm not seeing a price leak here. Maybe the price hasn't leaked yet, but if I'm not mistaken, this is usually like $1,600 camera or something like that. Video functions, vertical position, level gauge, nil control, wave format monitoring. That's great. I have that in the R5C. I really love having the scopes on there and the waveform. Panasonic's been doing it for a while. Sony and Canon, you could really learn from this. I know that the Z9 also has that wave format in it. But yeah, bring that wave on there and just let it stay there. Sony lets you have the histograms on there, which is fine, but waveform is really where it's at in my mind. And a morphic D-squeeze display makes sense again. Panasonic's really good with adding a lot of video features, and that's why a lot of professionals like to use it. HLG, a view assistant, LUT view assistant, so that's good. You can use, I think it's going to be able to, it says view assistant, so I wonder if you're going to be able to add your own LUTs to it. That'd be interesting. Color bar, luminance level, live crop, stop motion animation. Very cool again. USB-C, HDMI-A. So this is full-size HDMI, which is great. So yeah. Microphone, head jack, SD card, dual slot. Okay, that's fine at 6K. You're not really going to need a CF Express card, but I mean, it's good enough. Bluetooth 5.0, going to kind of go here. It says fan auto. So this will have a fan in it. What is the name of this camera? Okay. So this will have a fan in it. That's interesting. I didn't suspect that would happen, but okay. Maybe I need to go to. We'll go over to some of the leaked images here in just a bit. Battery. That's kind of a low. If they're only 370 still images, is that what they're rating that at? That's pretty low, if I'm not mistaken. Battery grip, dust and splash, size, weight. Okay. Yeah. So the X model, the only difference that we know about is that this will have. So the 4K 60 is cropped at APS-C, so that's going to be cropped there. The supports Apple ProRes, so it sounds like it's just basically a firmware updated Panasonic, and they usually do that, but I don't know why they're actually renaming it. Usually they just offer like a paid upgrade if they want to do that. That's what they used to do in the past. And then the 14 is an f4 to 5.6 macro, so probably not a very expensive lens here. I would like to see an f4, just a straight f-stop right on through. But yeah, it's pretty good stuff. All right, let's go ahead and head back to the comments and let's see if anybody's built up here. Hope I hadn't been losing people. All right. I'll go back and show some of the pictures here in a minute. All right. So let's see here. You might want to rotate your mic right there. Actually, so the reason I'm using it this way is turn the mic to your mouth as volume is very low. Okay, well, let me turn up the volume. The reason I'm not doing that is because last week, if I turn right here and I say puh, or if I say like, let's look to the public and the bah, you start hearing that puh, puh. You hear a lot of that stuff, and some of what I've heard really helps it is if you actually have it off to the side with this type of mic. So yeah, I know you can get a pop filter as well, but they kind of already have their own. And I was hearing last week when I went to go clip things out, I was hearing a lot of puh, puh, and then some of their weird stuff there. I hope I didn't just super go over. Let me know though, is the volume down for everybody, or is it sounding fairly decent? I did just pop it up. Just let me know. Let me know. I researched it on this particular mic. They say that it's best to keep it off to the side or above the head. So yeah. Turn the mic. Yeah, volume is very low, bud. Okay. Well, we got a lot of people in here. If you can chat, I really appreciate it. If jumping in here into the chat. Okay. So Jason says Canon and Sony really need to implement open gate filming like Fuji and Panasonic. Yeah, that would be great if they would do that. And I feel like Sony is kind of weird because they offer you a lot of different things, and then at the same time they exclude some really important like specs that I think would make them quite a bit more professional seemingly. Like the scopes is a big one for me, I think. And then false color, you could add quite a bit to Sony cameras at this point, especially like the FX3, which they're saying is like their start of their cinema line. It should be in there. Ordinary Filmmaker says, you are very quiet, so maybe adjust the mixer. I did just adjust it on here. Let me see if I can push it up on the mic. This thing's kind of weird. Okay. Let's see. I did adjust it on camera. Let me know if I am clipping or if I am sounding any better. I can always, after the fact, raise it into post when I clip things out, but I want to make sure everybody's getting the best experience that they can. If you're here and you can jump into the chat, I absolutely appreciate it. I enjoy it. But if you can't, that's okay too. And hit that like button. We'll get this out to more people. It very much helps the channel. It helps out the stream. I enjoy it. Ordinary Filmmaker saying that is better. So what are your thoughts on this new Panasonic camera? Is anybody excited about it? If I'm not mistaken, I can go check this really quick. What is the S5, the original? Like, what's the price range on that? Because I don't think it's a very expensive camera overall. So let's see what it is. S5. So yeah, it's $1,500. They started at $2,000, so they have the holiday savings at $500 less. I mean, at $2,000, that's if that other camera is as good as they're saying it is, then I think it's pretty great. But I mean, let's look at the specs here. Is this really that big of an update? So it says 4K 60. I'm guessing that's cropped too, more than likely. It would have to be, if I would think, yeah. So full frame, 4K 60, 10-bit internal already. So the EVF is a little bit better at the 3 million. It's the same. It looks like it's the same flip screen. So nothing big there. Maybe adding a little bit more there. So the biggest thing is they're adding the new autofocus. So depth from defocus. That's what it is. I don't know why. Yeah. So that's their contrast stuff. Yeah, so far it doesn't really sound like it is a super big update. The big update sounds like it's just going to be that autofocus, which, really, they're already saying 14 stops at dynamic range. So yeah, to me, it's not a super big update, but the biggest thing, same sensor. If all, yeah, same sensor. This is all pretty much confirmed, I believe. The spec sheet actually leaked out. So yeah, the autofocus really sounds like it's the big deal, and of course, adding 6K. This does not have 6K, but I'm sure it probably downsamples. So we'll see. Yeah, it's. I think it would be a solid camera for 2000, and that's why I say something like the R8 makes sense to come out like an um, as a for the Canon R8 to be a follow up um, to the Canon EOS R makes a lot of sense for them to have another camera right around that 2000 mark, and I think there is quite a bit of room there. So Ordinary Filmmaker says, so basically going with what I was saying, we just checked it there. Ordinary, that is okay, 2000, yeah, and he says on sale, 500 off now. Jason Morris says Panasonic are doing some incredible things for the price. I agree, and I think if they go with phase auto tech, or rather phase detection, autofocus, I think this could be, I don't know, it's some good stuff. I really think that they could make their mark in the camera industry even more so than they have been. They've been quite a bit niche. I think that they could be, a lot bigger. Like I was kind of saying earlier, I think they could be a lot bigger if they would have done this a long time ago. I remember the SH1. I'm having trouble. I don't know if it's lack of sleep or if I am getting sick with this stuff that my son has. I mean, even like, he's right in my face all the time, so it kind of makes sense that I would get it. But I don't know, my brain, some words are not coming to my mind instantly. I'm enjoying the conversation. I feel good, but maybe I'm just a little bit tired. But the S1H, I was so tempted by that camera when it first came out. That was leaps and, so ahead of anything that Sony was doing, or Canon, especially Canon at the time, was doing in the mirrorless market. They were way ahead of everybody with 6K. All the functions, all the features that they had. I mean, they were Netflix approved like a long time ago. And then they just had that bad autofocus. And I just, as somebody who maybe isn't as professional as, a lot of people, I really want good autofocus. If they would have had good autofocus, I know it was an expensive camera. I was going to jump up from APS-C to full frame. I was looking for a system, and that stopped me from going Panasonic, but I would have if they would have done something better with autofocus. So hopefully it's not too late for them, because I think I really want to see more players in the game, especially if the market really is kind of leveling off, like people, or at least the statistics looks like the market even kind of went up a bit. I would like to see more people competing for that pie, because we get better and better innovation. Ordinary Filmmaker says, look at the GH6 500 off too. Wow. GH6. So yeah, this is, dang man, Panasonic. But I mean, honestly, it's cool, but it's also a little discouraging, just because I know a lot of people are doing holiday stuff, but to me, it sounds like they're maybe not selling the way that they hoped they would. Granted, I think they would have sold a lot better. Maybe they are. I don't know. But I'm just saying, if this had, their autofocus was fixed. Now, they are saying this has 6.5 stops. So that was something that I didn't mention before. I'm not going to make it an individual thing, but let's go ahead and jump over really quick. I want to look at some of these images while I got everything shared up. So they had a lot of leaked images. My son, he's about to be going to sleep, so I may have to cut this short. Where are all the leaked images at? New leaked image. I thought there was a whole. Which website is that? Okay. How to fly. I'm not seeing any extra ones, but I thought there was like a whole thing of leaked images that I saw earlier. I don't know why I'm not seeing it now. New leaked image. Maybe, maybe I'm just wrong. But I thought there was like, literally, I thought like the whole thing got leaked. I believe Ordinary Filmmaker did like a video about it. Yeah. So, fully leaked specs. I think there was a big image leak of this thing. Okay, here we are, right? Okay, I thought I wasn't crazy. So full leaked images of the new S5II and the X. It's an attractive camera. I like the red. I'm always a big fan of the red record camera or red record buttons. I think they bring something to them. I like it. I like that. Oh, here's the flip screen. Let's see what they got. So it is a full angled out. So let's see how they tilt. Do they have a tilt? Is it showing that? I don't see it in these images. Oh, it'd be nice. Let's see. See if I can get rid of this without getting pop-ups. Okay, let me see if I can move something around. Are we seeing this? I don't see anything that's really indicating that it's gonna flip down or tilt out. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything that's indicating a tilt out, but I would like to see if it's a tilt out. 2-dial system. Yeah, it's a nice looking camera. I'm not disappointed by the looks of it. I do wonder. So it does have a fan. I don't remember if the original had a fan, but maybe they're doing it for the 6K. The S1H had the fan, but it was also doing 6K. So maybe they just feel like they need the heat management better. And they are good about trying to get Netflix approved and everything. I think that they're having. Let me flip over here. I think Lumix is. Yeah, it looks like this is that hot shoe that allows you to add different features like an XLR input and a lot of different other stuff as far as like flashes and stuff goes that's actually digitally interfaced into the camera. So yeah, I'm pretty satisfied by this. Looks like a wheel. I like the wheels more than just the directional pads. Overall, it's a nice looking camera. Nothing particularly special, but nothing that strikes me as, oh, this is bad. Okay, so am I mistaken? Or, okay, maybe underneath these flaps they have battery grip control. Hopefully. We'll see. But yeah, drop in the comment section below and let me know, are you interested in this S5 Mark II? Does this sound like it's going to be the camera for you? Are you a big Panasonic fan? Are you happy as I am that they're getting rid of, or at least they're implementing face detect autofocus as well? I'm excited about it. Drop in the comment section below and let me know. All right. Let me go back to the chats. So I'm going to like clip that together if y'all can see. I mean, I'll obviously take out some of this other stuff. I'm thinking that maybe it would be a smart idea if I'm going to do everything this way, is to go ahead and like pre-record, like hey, drop in the comments, like and subscribe, and do that, and then that way it like kind of cuts away, and kind of do it that way. That'd be interesting. I think that might be the way I go. But yeah, I think that's it for the main topics. But we can kind of chat and go over some stuff. My son is about to lay down. I hear him laying down to sleep. He's doing his talk, so I may have to get off of here. But I hate to, because we have a pretty good live. Like my lives recently, honestly, I got to be real. Like holidays have kind of hit my channel pretty hard. I haven't done as much. We've had some health stuff going on in the household, so I've been doing what I can do, but it hasn't been as vigorous as in the past. So my channel hasn't really grown much lately, and the lives have not been. A lot of people haven't showed up as much recently, but I think that may be a time of day type situation. Let me know, or if you're here and you're able to talk, let me know, is this kind of a good time? I try to do it where we have some, like Jason and a few other people from Australia actually watch. Isotech watches from Australia. And I like to do it around this time frame because it allows for people who are on the other side of the world to actually join in too. But I do wonder, is this a good time, like this Friday night or Saturday morning for some people? Is this a good day? I was doing Saturday nights. Excuse me. I was doing Saturday nights, but we had uh, football was going on here in America, American football, and so we weren't getting that many people. So I thought I would try Friday night tonight and see what happened. And so far, yeah, way better. If you're here and you're in the chat, I don't want to say goodnight if we have time to talk. But what are your thoughts on the looks of this camera? I guess we could go with it there. I know Jason a lot of times, man, Jason's like a super hard worker. I did a little interview with Jason before. It was kind of a spur of the moment interview. I actually have it posted on the channel if you ever want to go check it out. It's there's definitely like some ums and ahs because I was just talking to him for like the first time in person, and it was, like I said, spur of the moment, so I didn't exactly anticipate questions. But I mean, he just inspired me with his work ethic, and I'm still trying to get better. I'm still trying to get on his level, but the way he dedicates himself to his channel and to his art and craft, that's so admirable. I think he was saying he works like 6 days a week, or maybe even 7. I don't even know if he takes a day off, but he's like at it 6 in the morning up until like 3 every day. He's in his studio doing something for his channel, and you can tell in the quality of work. It's really, really impressive stuff. And of course, Simon, the man who never sleeps, is on here too. So I got to catch up, guys. I got to do better. Teach me your ways, oh masters. I am, but you're Padawan. So ISO Images says, this is a good time for me. I appreciate it. ISO Tech Images, says it's a good time for him. So I'm glad, that this is working out for you. So, I'll try to make Friday the day that we do this. Isotech says, simple. I shoot Canon and Nikon and love to see other brands bring out nice cameras as it keeps my brands competitive. Absolutely. I shoot Sony and Canon. Primarily I've been shooting Sony. I did get the Canon R5C. That's going to be like a stills and 8K camera. Way I'm going to use it, and maybe a studio cam, I'll start using it more, that you can hook up. But I'm gonna get one of those. I have a V-mount battery I'm gonna plug in on there. I will actually probably be using a lot of the 8K features because I'm not gonna need maybe the autofocus as much. Well, if I have the bigger battery, I'll actually be able to use the autofocusing features. But what I'll probably do, I'm gonna be traveling again in Asia fairly soon. Hopefully, if some family health concerns get a little bit better. I'm going to be traveling back in Asia, and when I do so, I want to get just like some of the vistas and the landscapes in 8K and just use that 8K 60 and slow it down, like just to get some of the establishing shots. And then I'll still use my Sony A7S III as kind of more my run and gun stuff, and probably get the majority of my footage on the Sony A7S III. I love it for just, I don't have to worry about, I set a ND filter on that thing. As long as you keep it in the native ISOs, you're pretty much, perfect. So if it gets I just jump it to 12,800. It's so amazing to be in the dark because you're running and gunning in the travel videos and stuff. I mean, yeah, it's perfect for that kind of things. But I do like the idea of having 8K 60 for like landscape shots where you can get all that extra detail. I really am excited to try out that camera. And then, of course, I'm going to use it for stills as well. And I agree with your assessment of Canon and Nikon. Speaking of Nikon, I would really like to see what Nikon can do. Like the Z9 has been out for over a year now. They're finally in stock, which is great. I would love to see a new Nikon come out, like maybe the Z6 Mark II, or sorry, 3, or maybe a Z8 that has been heavily rumored by people who, well, the rumor who was apparently making this happen, he was like, it's coming September, and then he was like, October at the latest, and now, yeah, what is it, December 30th? It never happened. But yeah, I still think a Z8 is possible to come out. I really want to see what they do with that new technology that they put in that Z9 with the really great autofocus. They're finally definitely on par, or at least close to on par with Canon and Sony. I would love to see that come to their lower end cameras, because right now, I mean, the Z9 is the lowest price flagship, but it's still super expensive for most people. So I'd like, kind of democratize that autofocus would be great. Isotech is agreeing with me here. He says Z9 no good for me, so hoping the Z8 or Z6 Mark III are more like the R5 and R6. Or R6. Yeah, that is kind of my assessment of things. That's what I believe will be the case. Yeah, so I think that's going to be what's happening. I hope that it happens sooner rather than later. The longer they wait, the more market share they lose to Sony and Canon. And let's be real, that's what's been happening for the last while. I would love to see Nikon. I definitely want them. I would like them to see them closer to Sony and Canon, just to make them sweat more. Make Canon open up their mount to third-party lenses, and make Sony switch over to CF Express Type B cards. That would be ideal, because that CF Express Type A is ridiculous, and not having appropriate third-party like Sigma and Tamron is also ridiculous on the Canon side. So, add some extra competition and maybe make them make more pro-consumer situations. Anybody else have anything to add, or are we ready to wrap it up tonight? I know that my son is, we've been going for hour 16 minutes at this point, and my son is laying down. So he's not crying, so maybe he's still sleeping good with me talking. So anything else to add from anybody? If not, we can call it a night. I so appreciate everybody showing up. I'm going to try to make this maybe Friday night as the new night for now, at least while football season is going on. But as the news progresses, I may jump on here another time slot. And, I'll definitely try to get better about getting the news out faster. That's one thing. The Isotech says, thanks, Matt. Try to follow you and Simon religiously. I appreciate it. We both appreciate it. I'm sure Simon appreciates that as well. Simon's so amazing about getting everything out, and I'm trying to be better about it myself. But yeah, everybody has their own style and their own approach, and this is kind of what I'm hoping is a new, differentiating factor. I don't see many people doing a lot of live streams or on a consistent basis anymore. We used to have in Sony World, David Osler, who's another Aussie, and he used to is it Osler or Osler? I enjoyed his stuff tremendously, and I don't know. I don't see him going live much anymore. So I hope he's still at it. I've seen him do some stuff, so I'm not saying his channel's not happening, but maybe it's just not my algorithm, or I don't know. I hadn't seen him recently. I used to enjoy his lives. That was one of the reasons I did not do Fridays, because I believe he was Friday night. But if he's not going to do Fridays, then I may be stepping in that and filling his shoes until he comes back and makes me move. But yeah, I enjoyed all his stuff, and Simon's been going live as well some. So yeah, listen, Isotech says he is a workhorse. Absolutely. He's a workhorse, and so is Jason. So, hey, listen, I'm going to go ahead and sign out for tonight. I so appreciate everybody showing up, commenting, liking, and just listening if you're here. If you're also here, go check out the friends of the channel, Simon and Jason. They're both super high quality stuff. If you like my channel, I'm sure you're going to like their channel. If you're here and you have not subscribed, please do so. I would like to see some growth. I'm teetering at 2,000. I would love to go above 2,000 before the new year. That would be amazing. So if you're here, you're liking my stuff, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, if I can make this work out this time, peace.